Hello, this is Bill Baldwin of Boulevard Realty with an update on flood maps. Please be aware that the Harris County flood maps are about to change. In fact, the way flood maps will be determined is totally new and revolutionary. Make yourself aware of the process and the timeline at Map Next. Map Next stands for Harris County Modeling, Assessment, and Awareness Project, the first of its kind in the nation. It's the next generation of flood mapping using new methodologies, new technology, and new data. The new maps will be released in early 2025, and thousands of homes in Harris County are expected to be added to both the 100 and 500-year floodplains. Likewise, many homes may no longer be in the 100 or 500-year floodplains. After the announcement, there will be a period of 6 to 9 months of education and input. The adoption is not likely until late 2025 at the earliest. Please keep up to date and refer to Map Next on the Harris County Flood Control website.
HAR TV has expanded and we're now offering video services at 4 locations. Our Fort Bend branch located at 6608 Greatwood Parkway in Sugar Land. Our Montgomery County branch located at 25700 I-45 North in Spring. Our Bay Area branch located at 17225 El Camino Real in Bay Area. And our original location at HAR Central located at 3693 Southwest Freeway in Houston. All 4 locations offer all the same high quality video production that you have always experienced here at our central location. Contact us today to get your video appointment scheduled at any one of our 4 locations.
As realtors, we help our clients with all sorts of matters, including how to find available resources that may assist with the down payment. We are proud to announce that Down Payment Resource is now available on HAR.com. This will allow consumers to find out if they meet the criteria for any of the 70 different assistance programs available in the greater Houston region. Some programs are income-based, but many allow higher incomes than you may think. There are also programs specific for people in certain professions, such as police officers, firefighters, teachers, healthcare workers, and others. About 89% of all listings for sale in Houston qualify for some sort of down payment. To find out more, you may visit www.har.com/down payment and work with your realtor to make sure you have everything you need to be able to purchase the home of your dreams.
Good morning and welcome to Member Focus Monday. I am Claudia Hernandez, Director of Video Services for HAR, and today we're changing things up and we have Christina as a guest today. I'd like to welcome HAR Director of Social Media, Christina Schaefer. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you so much. I love when, maybe once a year we switch things up and somebody interviews me, and I'm so happy that it's you.
Awesome. Well, yeah, you always have great information. I know our members love to hear from you. So before we get started, go ahead and give us a little intro of what it is you do for HAR.
So as we've stated, I'm the Director of Social Media for HAR. In addition to overseeing all of HAR's presence and success online outside of just the website, where we show up on social media, on Google, Yelp, all kinds of things like that. I also specialize in helping realtors leverage social media for their own success and growth in their business. I've been with HAR, it'll be 14 years this year, and over time I've seen how powerful it is when realtors learn to market themselves in a way that comes across as authentic and it's effective online.
Awesome. Yes, and that's so true. And I know you have a lot of information about that today. So thank you for that introduction. And remember, you all, if you have any comments or questions for Christina, please leave them in the chat and we will get to them throughout the show. So let's go ahead and just get started and start with our first question. Let us know, why is social media such a powerful tool for realtors right now?
Well, Claudia, it's because that's where people live, essentially, digitally at least. Social media, it lets us connect with potential clients in real time, and people that maybe we've lost touch with that could be potential clients, right? It's where your sphere of influence lives. And also it lets you, build trust before the showing. Every marketing class you've ever taken, people tell you they have to know you, like you, and trust you before they do business with you. Social media lets you build trust over time, and it keeps you top of mind and visibility without a huge budget. A lot of what you can do on social media and what we'll talk about today is free. So it's no longer just about listings and posting your listings online. Any realtor can do that. It's about community, it's about storytelling, it's about showing up consistently where your audience is and where they're already spending a lot of their time.
Right, correct. Awesome. And so how have you seen the role of social media evolve in the real estate industry over the past year or so?
Well, in the past almost 14 years that I've been with HAR, it's completely flip-flopped. It went from just kind of a nice to have, oh, I've heard about that, it seems kind of cool thing, to a must. But social media is just one of those things, just like video that you're working in every day. It's constantly changing and evolving. Again, realtors, yes, you can go online and post your listings. And that used to be all realtors did, but now you really can't get away with that anymore. You do need to do more. And there's more that you can do and take advantage of. Again, going back to building that trust, you can use these different platforms to educate clients and potential clients, engage with them. Things like what we're doing right now, a live video. It's engaging, it's fun, it's real time. I can see, and you can see the comments coming in. For example, I just see a comment from Jay Bradley that says, 2 of my favorite rock stars, good Monday. That's being able to shout out Jay. Hi, Jay. That's engaging and fun, and you can do that with your audience. But also you can use it as a way to entertain them as well. So I like to do, especially for realtors, I like to think of ways that they can educate while entertaining. Let me talk about 5 steps to improve curb appeal, but do it in a way that's fun and entertaining to watch. Also, platforms like Instagram and TikTok have really made short form video the standard, pushing realtors to create more authentic and visually engaging content. And there's so many ways to do that, and you don't have to be a video expert to do it. But it really has changed. But I think it's changed in a way that's really allowing you to show up better for your clients and to really engage them and educate them in a better way.
Right. And not just changing in the past year, but like you said, since you've been at HR in 2014, I remember graduating high school and Facebook had just started. It was my friends from college were like, have you heard of Facebook or the Facebook? Yeah. It's insanely evolving into just so many platforms and so much value in all of them. So yeah. Mm-hmm. And just that you mentioned Jay, knowing who you are, he's met you at lots of events, but I would care to guess that there are a lot of members that haven't met you in person, but they feel like they know you because they see you every single Monday. So I know you're going to talk about the consistency and getting on and showing your face online so that your members your sphere of influence can trust you that way. So, So what social media platforms should realtors be focusing on in 2025? Are there any newcomers that we should keep an eye on? I know there's always something new. Sometimes it lasts, sometimes it doesn't. So what do you have to let us know about that?
Well, yeah, like you said, there's always something new, and sometimes they last and sometimes they don't. And the last thing I want to do is tell people to go spend time in learning something that might not be here tomorrow, right? So Instagram and Facebook are still key, especially for realtors who are trying to connect with their local communities. Instagram and Facebook are not going anywhere. I recently heard some social media speakers talking about people assuming or thinking maybe, oh, is Facebook dead? Facebook is not dead. Facebook is not going anywhere. We're live streaming on Facebook and YouTube right now, but we're live streaming on Facebook for a reason. It is still vital, especially for connecting with your local community. TikTok continues to gain traction. And NAR, I know, just released it's on their social media where you can see the breakdown of home buyers by generation. If you're trying to connect with those with Gen Z home buyers, which yes, they are buying homes already, TikTok continues to gain traction, especially younger buyers and renters. So if you're trying to get millennials, younger millennials, and Gen Z, they're on TikTok. Threads is growing, and that is a newer one, I guess you could say, but it is growing and improving every day. LinkedIn, I always try to mention LinkedIn when we do these because it is highly underused by realtors. They might have a LinkedIn profile, but they're not utilizing it to make connections and get referrals in a way that they should be. And it's really great also for establishing thought leadership. So if you're trying to be that thought leader, that's a great place to be. Also keeping an eye on, I know you're in and out of YouTube every single day. YouTube Shorts are a fun way to get your shorter form videos that you might already be putting on Instagram or TikTok, utilizing those on YouTube. They do tend to get high visibility on there. But also don't forget platforms like Nextdoor, not really social media per se, but Nextdoor is excellent for hyper local targeting as well.
Yeah, I know I started to see videos on Pinterest, in the same way that I see them on Instagram and on YouTube. So it's just crazy how they slowly, all of them will evolve into similar things, because if you're not getting it from one of them, you're going to go look for it from the other. So they're going to offer video and short form and all that stuff as well. So we do have a question coming in from Home by Shiva. She asks, do you suggest funny life events or educational videos?
All of the above, Shiva. Yeah, like I said, I especially suggest for realtors, I'm not saying you need to go out there and learn all the TikTok dances. Now, if you do, that's great. It's fun. People are going to remember that. You're going to stay top of mind. For realtors, I do like to also just remind them, like, hey, you're here to educate. You're educating your clients every day. Put that on video, but make it fun. It doesn't have to be so stiff and hyper buttoned up, right? It doesn't need to be like that. You can make it entertaining as well. You could also, I've seen people do things like where they kind of roast themselves. They talk about things that they once thought that are just not the case anymore. That's fun, and it's engaging and authentic as well. And life events, sure, as much as you're willing to share, you don't have to share every detail of your personal life, but sharing life events. I won this award. I went to this conference. I did this fun thing. Or I was involved with this community organization or this community event that just took place. Let me tell you all about it, right? Those are great ways to show up authentically, and also show, in some cases, like if you're volunteering or doing things like that, that you're giving back to the community as well.
Yeah, and I think that's so great. And you don't realize the type of connection that you're going to make with someone when you post those types of things. I know you, for instance, just received an award from the Arthritis Foundation a week and a half ago, and you post that on social media, and you never know the connection of somebody else that might say, I've been living with arthritis. I didn't know that and now you have a connection with someone. If you were a realtor, that's a connection that you made with a possible client just because you posted a life event on your social media. So again, you didn't live stream the event. You posted some photos and talked about it and made some connections, I'm sure. So great examples of like life events that you can post that are not related to your business. So that's
Absolutely.
Great. So what types of content do you think are performing best right now when it comes to engaging buyers and sellers?
So we've already talked about video, and I'm just going to say video is essential. You don't have to be, again, the next TikTok star or doing viral dances to make an impact, though. I know that you teach a lot of classes, and we had you on the program not that long ago talking more specifically about different types of video, and but you can use things like voiceover or text-based reels or even behind the camera storytelling. But we also have to remember that people connect with faces. So even just showing up occasionally, maybe you don't want to do it every video. Maybe this video is all about the property that I'm listing, but you do want to also show up and show people your face, because again, it goes a long way in building trust and making that connection. You mentioned that, some of the people commenting, like I'm going to pick on Jay again real quick, with the people commenting like Jay, who I see at events, he serves on our board of directors, so I know him well, but there might be people watching that see me every week, like you said, but we haven't met in person yet, right? But they might feel like they trust me a little bit because they see me every week. That's what you want with your clients, and showing up and consistently and showing your face and putting a smile on your face and teaching people something or entertaining them or whatever the case may be is one of the best ways to do it. So again, key piece of content is video. And again, I feel like so many realtors are missing the mark on it. They post the picture of that listing, they post, the promo for their open house, and they don't show up on video.
Right. And again, you mentioned putting a smile on your face, but you can post some of those failures as well too. I know I've heard you speak about this in one of your talks, is like that being authentic. I didn't get that listing, or we didn't close on that home because of such and such situation, obviously without giving personal information, but you're being authentic and letting your client, your group or your followers know, oh wow, they're real, they're not just putting on a happy face, that this is real life too, right? So showing who you really are in those videos as well.
Yeah, I mean, not every day is a great day in real estate, unfortunately, right? I mean, you and I are both homeowners. We've gone through the process with a realtor, and there were things our realtors did to get us in the property that we really loved and really wanted to get into that you and I would have never thought of. Or maybe they had a really tough day trying to fight to get us in there. Maybe it was a tough day of negotiating or a tough day of getting responses from maybe an industry partner, an inspector, a whoever, right? A lender. And those aren't always great days in real estate. There might be frustrating days in real estate, but showing up and talking about some of the wins, but also some of the failures or even the in-betweens, that makes you authentic, it makes you real, and it states some value that you're giving to your clients. If all you're ever doing is posting, here's my listing and here's my closing, right? We're not telling that story in between. So talk about that stuff on video.
Yeah, for sure. Now, speaking of video, I deal with this on a daily basis. And so our next question is, how important is video content, and do realtors need to be on camera to be successful? Again, like I said, it's an everyday struggle for me. I say sometimes that even if we were giving some of these videos away for free, people would still not be on camera. And the number one thing is they're just so afraid of how they're going to look. So we get that question all the time. Do I have to be on camera? Does my face need to be on there? So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, if it comes to building trust, we need to see your face. I do see Claudia in the comments says, I do voiceovers a lot, and that's great. and hearing your voice is also a method of building trust, but seeing your face really, I think, seals the deal. And Claudia and her department, they have studios at 4 parts of the Houston area where realtors can go in and get videos done. So again, you don't have to be an expert at creating video or setting up a camera or worrying about lighting or microphone or editing or anything like that. It can be done for you. But yeah, I mean, I think seeing your face, yes, there's AI tools that can do it for you with, a voiceover, or AI tools that can even mimic your voice or mimic your face, right? But if we're trying to build trust, wondering if I'm looking at, an AI generated version of you or an AI generated voice of you, that's not building trust. That's just confusing, and that's not what consumers want to see. They want to see your face. So you really've got to show up on camera.
Right. And that's so important. I mean, they have to get to know who you are, right? Mm-hmm. And they have to, and it's okay that you don't look like that headshot that you took 15 years ago. You just have to show them the real you, because that's who they're going to meet in person, right? It's not going to be that photo. So yeah, great comment.
And you know what? Also, everybody has a bad day, a bad hair day, a bad makeup day. Before we got on the live this morning, I said to Claudia, "Do I look weird this morning? Something about my makeup didn't work out right today," and that's okay because I'm still here. I still have information to share that hopefully will be beneficial for people to hear. Right? So it really doesn't matter how you show up, but you just got to show up.
And we're always our own worst critic, right? We're going to always think we look the worst, but no one would notice. You asked me that and I'm like, you look great, like you always do, So you just have to get over that hump and fear of being on camera and just doing it, just pulling off the Band-Aid and doing it, right?
Yeah.
So for those of you watching, please remember that you can leave a comment or a question for Christina and we'll get to it throughout the show. So would you say, are there any tools or apps that you recommend to streamline the content creation scheduling or process? I think people they think, I don't have time for this. A lot of people I know do hire social media managers for their business, but there's stuff that you can do on your own that doesn't need to take a lot of time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I am not at all a graphic designer or a video producer, but I can still make it work with some tools online. And I'm sure a lot of people that can relate to that. I know a lot of people love Canva. For graphics and video, you can make animation through there as well. I'm also, for platinum subscribers that are tuned in, you have access to the marketing center in the members only portal that will help you create graphics as well. That's a great option because it syncs to the MLS, so it already has a lot of your information. I know you teach about several tools. There's things like CapCut that I know is a very popular video creation tool for Reels and TikToks. So those are all great tools that you can be using. There's so many of them out there. Also for video, I know that you have a wonderful video tutorial out there for InShot. It's super intuitive and pretty easy to use. For scheduling, I like things like Later is a good one. Hootsuite, which is a very popular one. I kind of think of it as the other owl. People know the owl from Duolingo. Hootsuite also has an owl, so it's the other owl. So that, and then I personally use Sprout Social also for scheduling. Those are all great tools. But don't forget about Meta. Meta Business Suite is free and easy to use, and it can help you schedule content for Facebook and Instagram. It also has some great analytics built into it, which analytics are so important to check in on. But also don't underestimate the power of your phone and the native apps that you have built into it. The camera app that you have built into your phone. And also I'm a huge fan of the Notes app. If people have ever seen me come up with an idea or a brainstorm or something, you're going to see me immediately pull up my Notes app on my phone because that's where I'm going to keep all of my ideas. And so I saw a comment from Peggy Pentecost earlier that said all subjects are topics for video. And that is 100% true. In every class I teach, I tell people, if you've been asked the question more than once, it's content, right? So when you think about the consistent questions you get from a client and you're thinking, oh man, somebody else just asked me that recently. Well, that's video content. What I suggest to people is pull out that Notes app, jot those things down so that when you batch create content, you sit down and create content, you're going to have a list of things that you can go off of.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great. And of course,
are there any other tools, Claudia, that I didn't mention that you would suggest?
I mean, just all of those are great. And like you said, Canva is a good one. Even iMovie, like you said, that's on your phone. Use what you have on your phone. You don't need to. I tell people this all the time because I do teach AI video editing tools, but don't go spending a ton of money. Like, try the free stuff first because it's available to you. And come on, you're already on your phone. So instead of wasting time on Instagram, why don't you play with an editing tool and get used to it? Because I think that's the fear is, I'm not comfortable editing. I don't know how. I'm not used to using these apps. So then play with it while you're on your phone, just, waiting in line somewhere. So we have another question from Almas Abdullah. And they ask, when is the CapCut class and how do we get to the video on CapCut if you have any? So we'll have somebody put in the chat our HRTV YouTube channel, and I do have a tutorial for CapCut on that channel. It's about 20 minutes long because I do put like a step-by-steps, I walk you through each little step of CapCut. So, but my next class that I'll be teaching, actually, if you're interested, you could come to Technology Day, because both Christina and I will be speaking at Technology Day, I believe May 13th, right? Yes, May 13th, and we'll be talking on these very subjects, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back. I don't know if you have more questions that you're about to ask from the audience, but I wanted to go back really quick because I mentioned jotting down notes and batch creating content. That is a concept that people might not be thinking of. Hopefully we know what that is. I'm going to sit down today and I'm going to knock out 10 videos or 15 videos, or I'm going to knock out my video content for the whole month. Maybe I do 3 or 4 wardrobe changes so they don't all look the exact same, but you sit down and you get it all done at one time. And that is a huge time-saving technique. And again, having a plan for what you're going to talk about, having those topics written down in your notes app, doesn't have to be highly scripted. Just the idea of sitting down and talking about what you know, but doing it, at a scheduled time and date where you can knock out a lot of things. And I know that people come into your studios and do that as well, right?
Yeah, they'll come in and do several. We had somebody come in about a month ago and did 40 of them. So they did a ton of short videos. They had a script for everything. They were ready. And they were all under 30 seconds, right? And they were all topics that they've been asked throughout the real estate selling and buying process. So it's all things you already know. So it's not that difficult to come up with the actual, meat of what you want to say in the video. So you don't need to be that worried because it's a topic that you're an expert in, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I know people ask this all the time and they're worried about authenticity. And so what is your take on using paid ads versus organic content for real estate marketing?
Yeah, well, again, something I say in every class I teach and most speaking engagements I do is I'm a big fan of free. And I know you are too. We're big fans of saving $1 if we can. But I think both paid and organic, they do have a time and place. But I highly recommend always starting with organic. You don't need to just automatically throw a bunch of money behind a post. It's not necessary. Build trust, figure out what resonates, and boost your best performing content. You created a video and you see, oh wow, it's, a day or two later. I like to say post it, let it marinate, and then decide if you want to put some money behind it. Best performing content, if it's already performing well, putting a few dollars behind it by boosting it is going to help it continue to perform well. Paid ads, can amplify your reach, especially for open houses, for lead magnets, or if you're targeting a specific zip code or area. They do work well, but they work best when they're really just paired with strong organic presence. So again, I'm a big fan of free. So I like to post, let it marinate, then potentially add some money behind it. Now, if you're somebody, I know there's a few realtors in particular that's part of what they do as part of their listing agreement is they do a paid ad for every listing. Well, that's fine. Just, don't forget organic marketing can be very, very successful as well.
Yeah, that's great. And so following that, what are some simple ways that realtors can make their personal brand stand out if they're not using paid ads? What type of posts or what can they do to make themselves stand out? Because yes, there are several realtors in Houston. Not all of them are using social media to market themselves. So you're already at an advantage if you're using social media. So what are ways that they could stand out?
Yeah, your personal brand is so important. In fact, we'll talk about it a little later, but I do teach a class for HAR that's basically social media platforms building your brand. So it's a 3-hour class and we talk about this. You need to be clear, so clarity, but also consistency. Using the same profile picture across your platforms. You mentioned the headshot earlier. If I get a new headshot, I'm going to update all of my platforms. My LinkedIn should have that headshot. My Threads, my Instagram should have that headshot. Also keep your bios consistent as well, but they also need to have more information than just realtor or realtor with XYZ brokerage. They need to be location specific. They need to maybe your targeted your geo market or your target market. So the types of people or properties that you work with, and also again the area that you're in, and have a content style that reflects you. If you're funny, be funny. If you're buttoned up and serious, then be that, right? So whether you're focusing on humor, education, or your luxury, or you're the Hawaiian shirt and flip-flops guy, that's fine. Lean into your niche. And don't be afraid to share your values and passions, because again, that makes you more memorable. If you're the Hawaiian shirt guy and every time I see you, you're in a Hawaiian shirt, I'm going to be looking for that Hawaiian shirt, right? If you're the bling lady, I'm going to be looking for the bling. What does she have on blingy today, right? So really just stay consistent, but also clarity. And you're not going to be able to do this if you're not being authentic, by the way. If you're trying to maybe copy what somebody else in your office is doing, that's just not who you are. So really kind of introspect a little bit and decide what's best for you, but make it consistent across platforms.
Yeah, that's so great. And that's so true, because not just being authentic, but you're going to burn out. If you're trying to be someone you're not, that's exhausting. And if you do it for too long, then you're definitely going to burn out, which is a great segue to our next question, which is how can agents balance being professional while still showing their personality on social media? Because I feel like that's I see that in the studios a lot. I meet them and they have such a personable, character, and then all of a sudden the lights turn on and the camera turns on and they're like super serious. So, and I tell them, just be yourself. You don't need to be super stiff on camera. So how can agents balance that online on their social media?
It's a hard thing to do, especially when you're first starting out and getting more comfortable on camera. One of the best compliments that I get from our members when I meet them at, HAR events or different places is, you're exactly like you are online. You're exactly how I expected you to be. And that's because I've been live streaming for HAR weekly for over 6 years now. It would be very, very hard to show up as anyone else on a weekly basis and not be, like you said, completely burnt out trying to show up as someone else. So you have to be yourself. So think of it, what I like to say is think of it as you're a professional with personality, right? You're a professional, but you have a personality. You're not a personality trying to be professional. And I think that's what you're saying, that people show up in the studio and they're fun and bubbly and having a great time, and then the camera starts and they're stiff, right? So you don't need to do that. You're a professional. You already are. You're a real estate professional. Just let your personality shine through a little bit, and it does go a long way. Show up like you would show up in a client meeting, right? Would you be stiff and buttoned up the whole client meeting, or would you be yourself, right? It's okay to be friendly, because that also comes off as polished, but it's real. So, and again, we talked about this earlier. Another way to do this is not just sharing all the highs, but sharing the wins, the challenges, the behind the scene moments, the personal touches, highlights, hobbies, things like that. Just keep it all aligned with your brand voice, because it's going to show your professionalism, but also if I know who you are a little bit, that's going to make me want to work with you a little bit more.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly, right? I know that for us women, we always love it when someone famous shows up without makeup, right? Because we're like, oh wow, they have the same, scar that I have, or the same, freckles, and you're like, okay, they're real, they're a real person. So always show exactly who you are. So on that same note, is there anything they should avoid posting or saying on social media? Obviously, we want you to be authentic, but what should you stay away from?
There's definitely things you should avoid. And I know that some people, I've had people get mad at me for saying this in the past, and I totally understand. But posting anything that's too political, too polarizing, and also too personal. We want you to be authentic. We want you to talk about your interests and who you are, and give me something that I can relate to, right? But going too far in any of those directions really can turn people off. And the last thing you want to do, you're in this business to get more clients and make more money, right? The last thing you want to do is turn people off to you because you posted something that was just so polarizing or so personal, and now they're uncomfortable around you. So yeah, you definitely, there's definitely things like that you can avoid. And I totally get it if somebody's listening to this and thinking, well, I don't care, I want to post what I want to post. That's fine. Just know that you might turn some people off and you might lose some business, whether you realize you lost that business or not. Also, a big one, don't share any confidential client information, anything that might violate fair housing guidelines. And another one, stay very, very clear of any negativity. We see, unfortunately, we do see a lot of negativity on social media. And while sometimes, life can be frustrating, maybe there's something going on at home that you're upset about, or something going on at work that you're upset about, or just something going on in the world that you're upset about. I totally get it. We all have things that maybe frustrate us or upset us, but focusing on negativity or posting negativity is not a way to really connect with people in the way that you want to. It might get you people connecting with you, and they might say, oh yeah, that's frustrating to me too, but not really in the way you want them to, or the way you want them to remember you. So focus on solutions, professionalism, even if it's, you're venting or a little bit maybe here and there. I know it's tempting, but focus on solutions and professionalism versus just negativity or complaining.
Yeah, that's so great. And that's how you want people to remember you, right? You don't want them to think of you as negative. So those are all great comments. We do have one question from Maribel Desaune. I hope I said that correctly. Should you have 2 social media accounts, one personal and one for your business, or should you combine the 2?
Again, we talked at the beginning of this interview about how things have changed over the years, and in 2011, when I started working for HAR, everybody said do not combine the 2. You have to have a personal and you have to have a business. Today, that is not the case. You can absolutely combine the 2. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but one of the things that I say in some of the classes is you have a personal account, right? But use it with a professional mindset, right? So you're a professional with a personality, right? And so that's exactly what I think you need to do on these platforms. You're not required to have a business profile if you don't want to. You can have a personal, but use it with a business mindset. Because remember also, if you have 2 different accounts, if I have a personal and a business, I have to now create content for 2 different accounts, a personal and a business, and it cannot be the same content all the time. So
right. Yeah, and I think it's also good, go see who you follow and how if they're successful on social media, how they're posting, whether it's real estate or not, right? If it's, say, a fitness influencer, and are they always posting about fitness? Probably not. They're posting about their vacations and, the new house they bought, or whatever the case may be. So it's not just, just the business on their social media. So that's all great. Thank you so much for all that information. So where can people connect with you online to learn more or get help with their social media strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do teach a class for HAR. It's called Social Media Platforms, Building Your Brand. It's a 3-hour class. I'm sure we can post a link to it in the comments, but you can also just go to har.com/education and look it up. If you just type in social media on the search bar, you'll find it. But I do teach that typically about once a month. I also do speaking engagements for different affiliate groups around the Houston area. Sometimes I even travel outside of Houston to do these different speaking engagements, and I'll talk about social media, different aspects of social media. So if you're somebody who's involved with one of our area networking groups or anything like that, or one of our affiliates like WCR or ARIA or anything else, and you'd like to have me come speak, I'm happy to do that. People can also email me. I'm an HAR staff person, so I have an easy email address. It's just Christina@har.com. The only difficult part is it's Christina with no H at har.com, so I'm sure we can type that in the comments too. You can also look me up on pretty much any social media platform and connect with me there. I'm either Christina Schaefer, my full name, or Christina_Schaaf. But more importantly, connect with HAR. You can find HAR on every platform. We're either at HAR members or har.com. You can search for us on pretty much every single platform and find us there. And yeah, I mean, my email is always open to people to shout, to shoot me a question or anything like that. I've even had people sometimes message me and say, Christina, I just changed my cover photo. Can you look at it? I don't know if I like it. Just random little things here and there. I'm happy to help our members with any of that.
Yeah, that's so great, and such a great asset to HAR that we have someone who knows what they're talking about on social media. So take advantage of that. I tell our members. So any final tips or encouragement for realtors looking to up their social media game this year?
Start where you are. Don't, compare yourself to that other person in your office who has 1 million followers, right? Start where you are. And show up consistently. Don't overthink it. Also remember, progress beats perfection. I know I interviewed you just a few weeks ago and you said, what did you say? Published is better than...
Published is better than perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Published is better than perfect. Guess what? Progress is also better than perfect. As long as you're showing up consistently, it's going to be valuable to people. So just keep learning, as you're on these platforms, you're going to learn more and more. But also remember, it's not about going viral, right? I think people focus too much on the likes and the comments and all that. It's not about going viral. It's about being visible to the right people at the right time. So just show up, provide your value, and the business is going to follow.
Right. Yes, that's so great. And thank you so much, Christina, for all this information. I really hope everybody was taking notes because everything that was said today was so valuable. Of course, you can rewatch this on HRTV and on our Facebook page, and you'll see a highlight later on this week as well. So thank you, Christina, for all that information and for being here with us today. And
thank you, Claudia, for interviewing me this morning.
Of course. That's it for today's Member Focus Monday. So next Monday, we have Nathan Goebel, our HAR MLS project manager. Christina will be interviewing him. He will be discussing rental scams and updates to the MLS. So I know you guys don't want to miss it. Nathan always has so much great information. He's one of our fan favorites. So tune in next week. And thank you all for watching and have a great week.
Thank you. Have a good week, everyone. Bye-bye.